Welcome back to the kitchen at Andersen Acres. Tonight we are going to make biscuits from a box, but we're going to make them taste homemade. And I chose this particular biscuit box, this biscuit mix box, very deliberately because a viewer asked if I could do the Red Lobster Biscuits. Because she had used this mix a few times and they never taste quite right. So, full disclosure, I had to order this because it's very difficult to find here. We're in a very rural area and there's not much of this. So I had to order this. But I completely see what she's talking about when I start reading the directions on the box. I can see where the directions basically steer you wrong. So let's go through the directions and we will talk about each step and what you have to change. So, the first direction is to preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I've done that. You'll hear the buzzer in a couple of minutes because the oven is currently preheating. The second step is to, one, get the stuff out of the box. So I've got the biscuit mix, and this is a garlic herb butter mix. Put that one aside for now. But we're going to put the biscuit mix in the bowl, which is not rocket science. That's always the first step with these mixes. Get it in the bowl. And then it tells you ingredients to add. It tells you to add 3/4 of a cup of cold water. That's a mistake. Cold water is fine, but it's not going to give you what you're looking for. It's not going to give you that creamy, delicious taste. So we're going to make a well in the middle, and we're going to add milk. Specifically, I'm using buttermilk. Okay? I am using buttermilk. So switch up that water for milk or buttermilk if you have it. If you don't have it, regular milk will be fine. But I'm using buttermilk. So start there. Give that a light mix. We don't want to overmix our dough, so just start incorporating it. Okay? So then it skips right to telling you you're going to add some cheddar cheese. How about no? We are going to add some cheese. But before that, we are going to add 1 egg. We're going to increase the richness of that dough. Okay, get that egg broken up. Start mixing that in. Okay, that's important. We do want that egg to start getting mixed in there. And then I'm also going to add about a tablespoon of butter. Melted, but not entirely melted. Like I like it melty so it mixes in, but not so melted that it is like bubbling hot. I don't want it hot. Mix that in. Okay, so those are the 2 additions I've made because you know what? It just won't taste right. It won't be quite rich enough. So then it wants us to add, how much do they say? Half a cup of shredded cheese, sharp cheddar preferably. Now that's correct, but I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to add some extra. I'm going to end up adding what amounts to about 3/4 of a cup. Okay, I have more than I need. But what amounts to about 3/4 of a cup instead of the half cup. Add some extra cheese. I like cheese. And a little extra cheese goes a long way. You don't want to add too much extra, so you don't want a full cup because that will be too much. Give that a mix. Be careful not to overmix your batter. You don't want it smooth. Biscuit dough is not meant to be silky smooth. Okay. Now it wants us to drop them by big, about 1/4 cup scoops, about 2 inches apart on a baking sheet. If you're using a baking sheet that is not non-stick, so I'm using silicone, so I don't have to do this. But if you're using a regular baking sheet, you're going to want to put a liner like parchment paper or something on. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to put cooking spray, whatever you normally do. And I'm going to do that, and there goes my oven. You want them about the same size, okay, when you're doing biscuits. So you're just doing drop biscuits, and you're doing roughly the same size. So it doesn't really matter how many you get. If you want slightly bigger biscuits, do slightly bigger biscuits. I mean, the recipe is for 10, but it doesn't matter. If you want really big biscuits, do really big biscuits. It literally does not matter. Do try to keep them kind of round, because if they're not kind of round, you're going to end up with little burnt crispy spots. So I'm doing slightly bigger biscuits than you would see just because I want big ones. But yes, the recipe is for about 10. I want big biscuits. I like big ones, because then I can almost turn them into sandwiches. So I'm going to get about 7 out of this. Okay. And then we are going to follow the baking directions. Because I'm doing slightly bigger biscuits, I'll probably add 2 minutes. So I'm probably doing 16 minutes because I believe the box says 14 to 16. So what I'm going to do is go on the high end of that because I'm doing slightly larger biscuits. There we go. We do want slightly larger biscuits. And this guy's, I want slightly larger biscuits. You don't have to have slightly larger biscuits. And I'm just going to scrape out that one is quite a bit smaller. There we go. So remember, our oven is preheated to 425. Follow the temperature on the package. That's correct. Okay? It's just some of the ingredients are not going to be... It's not that the ingredients are incorrect. It's just that the reason yours don't taste like they do at Red Lobster is you're missing a couple things. Okay? You're basically doing it the cheap way. And they're good. They're fine. But they're not what you expect. So I like to just kind of, even though it's a very sticky batter, I like to just go around, kind of line them up. And now we're going to pop them in the oven. Again, consult the side of your package. This says 14 to 16 minutes. That is fine. I'm going to do the 16 minute. Okay, the baking time is okay. We will come back the very second I take these out of the oven. All right, our biscuits have just come out of the oven, so we're going to do the next step on the side of the box. We are going to take a 1/4 cup of butter, melt it in the microwave, and then we're going to put this garlic butter mixture into the butter. Okay? Take your basting brush, whir that up real quick. Well, these biscuits already smell so good. I could have made them smaller, but I don't want to. The beauty of making stuff for yourself is you get to decide how big or small. So now we're going to take this mix and we're going to use all of it, the entire 1/4 cup, on the biscuits. Don't skip this step. Okay? Now, I do this with even biscuits I make at home. I like to put a butter mix on top. Not always, but it really does kind of up your biscuit game. So definitely consider it even if you're not making biscuits from a box, because a butter mixture on top just makes them absolutely fantastic. So absolutely consider that. Get the butter on there. We're using all of the butter. Don't not use it. Like, you want to use that up because it's a waste otherwise. So make sure all of your biscuits are nicely coated. Then we're going to let that sit for 2 minutes, and then we'll plate them up, and we'll come back and see how they look, because they will be fantastic. But you do need to let the butter sit on them for 2 minutes, because the idea is that butter is going to kind of soak into them. So we'll come back as soon as those have set a little bit. And just like that, we have a delicious biscuit recipe that came out of a box and yet tastes homemade. So give that a shot. Absolutely use buttermilk instead of water. Make sure there's butter in the batter. And don't forget to add that egg. It really does make for a delicious, light, fluffy biscuit. That's about it for us here tonight at Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.